All right. So what did Christ do? Forget about the interpretation of, how he died, what happened beforehand, what happened afterwards, where he actually, like, to try to interpret what actually happened to him. Forget about that part. Just go with, what did he do? He was on earth, born as a human being in the same flesh that every other human being has. The same flesh. He was 2/3 God, 1/3 man. Meanwhile, everybody else is 1/3 God and 2/3 man. Just like Satan is 2/3 God and 1/3 man. The energy of the negative force that God created, that's what Satan is. He's 66%, in the flesh. Satan, 66%. Christ is 66%. So he had the same exact flesh that we had, which means he had to have battled the identical fleshly, lustful desires that we have. Unless he was made of some kind of supernatural titanium steel body or something, that none of that could actually penetrate through his flesh. But if you want to look at it, let's look at it realistically. Like, you put aside all the fantasies and all the interpretations that people have about what they want to believe. As a human being in the flesh, do you or do you not battle fleshly desires? Do you not battle anger, depression, worry, anxiety? Do you not battle that throughout your life? It's best that you don't have to battle it anymore, but at least at one point in your life you've battled it, right? So until you become Christ-like, you're going to battle all of those fleshly desires that, well, actually you might not even battle them, because you're not fighting them. You're actually just giving into it, not denying your flesh whatsoever. To be Christ-like is Christ-like minded. Like, you're consciously aware of the battles that goes on in your own head. It's everybody's own head you're battling with yourself. So when you become more Christ-like, you're aware of the battles that are going on up in your head. And then when you recognize the battle, you're not getting beat down anymore from it, because it's a constant battle. When you're not aware of it, you're getting beat down day in and day out, and you don't even know it. And that's the sad part. Once you finally recognize that there's a battle going on up in your head, because it's your spirit battling your flesh. Once you realize that, well, then you get a grasp of it, and then you stop the battle, and you win the war. And then you put it to rest. You crucify that problem that you had. You take the body of the problem and you lay it into the grave, and you put it to rest. And then you can move on with your life and continue to just be in the moment, living in the now where you're at. It's like, this is the only time that you have to yourself, is right now, every single second of the day. Not the past second that just went by you, or the future seconds that you're worried about. It's consistent. It's right now. Being more Christ-like minded is just being very consciously aware of everything that goes on inside of your head, because you are your own worst enemy. So he was here on earth with a flesh, the same flesh that me and you have, and the same type of aggravation. You think Christ didn't get mad? Didn't he flip tables over? Because when you go into the marketplace where they're betting on you, all those whispering spirits that they know they can control you easily. So they bet on you. And they bet on your next move because they know, because you're predictable, because they control you. When you're controlled, you're predictable. If you're not being controlled by anybody, you can't really be predicted in that way, unless if you're just telling the truth 100%. Then what's there to predict? I'm going to tell you the truth. I predict he's going to tell us the truth on this one. There's no money exchangers. There's nobody sitting there betting at the table, so they don't need to get flipped over anymore. It's just a one-time flip. When you realize the battle is going on and you finally get a grasp of it, and then you flip the tables over because the tables turn, now it's they're on your side where you were, and now you're over on that side. They get to see it from your perspective, you get to see it from their perspective. They learn a lesson after you teach them a lesson from battling you this entire time. It's like it's a revenge thing, and it's justice, and then once you lay it to rest, it's over. You don't have to worry about it, think about it, deal with it ever again. You just move on. Being crucified is the same sense as laying things, putting them to rest. When you're done with it, bury it. You no longer need it. It served its purpose. So he was on earth, in the flesh, battled the same things that we had to battle with. When he was a child, was he the only child that, as a baby, he just knew where to go, what to do, and not go astray whatsoever, at all, ever? Like he never did a bad, wrong thing in his entire life because he was perfect? Just like just like being in the earth, being in the belly, being crucified, being hung up on a cross, his soul going to hell. When your soul goes to hell here on earth, and you're not living in hell, when your soul goes to hell on earth, but you're not living in hell, you're going to a place that is straight hell, which is any other person on the other side of this camera, phone, computer, whatever you're watching from, any person on the side that you're living in a hell because of your own prison that you're putting your mind in. When somebody's trying to reach out to you and pull you out of hell, well, that's what I'm trying to do, is to pull you out of the hell prison cell that you have with your own thoughts that battle yourself and you defeat yourself day in and day out. Going to hell is going to a place where you guys dwell, and it's like, hey, look, I figured something out. It's a mental trick. Just do this, and then start doing that, and then it kind of trickles into doing it naturally, and then it becomes a new pattern because you just eliminated the old habit. When you're visiting hell, living on earth, on the plane that we're on, and you're visiting people that are in hell, look, is anybody in a relationship right now that is hell? Like the other person is It's hell living with? You're in hell. Or are you that person that's putting them in hell, and that's you? And you're just this destruction, destroyer, punisher, putting people in hell and in misery. Is that you? Heaven, hell, it's a mindset, obviously. And when your body dies, your spirit goes back to God. It just goes back to the Creator where it was originally. He allowed us to live here on earth, in heaven or hell, depending on how you make of it in your life. So when Christ was going to people on planet earth back then and sitting with the publicans and the sinners and being ridiculed for that, well, he was sitting in hell. He's in heaven. So he went over to hell, crossed over, like on a cross over from one side to the other, and started pulling people out of their freaking prison cell, which is a hell. If you're in a relationship that is hell, you're living in hell. If you can get along with people and you know how to treat people, and you have respect for women, and you live in the moment, that's home. That's my home right there. Home. Sitting here right now at this moment. It's home. Living in heaven is a mindset. You create it. It's your own thoughts. You just have to stop doubting that it's true. Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Let it flow. Just go with it. Christ was in hell. His soul was in hell because he was trying to dig them out. He didn't have to go there. He's fine. He's living in heaven. He's good. It's like he can be like, screw you then, whatever. Who cares? Do your thing. Well, I kind of did tell you to do your thing, free will, but he visited you. He visited them. While they were, wherever it was on earth, he was visiting them in hell, trying to pull them out. So yeah, Christ, his soul went to hell. His body was laid to rest. He was crucified, stationary, and silenced. He was in the belly of the earth for 3 days. Once he came out of the belly of the earth, the underground, when he came out of the underground, because the people that are underground can see what he can see, but the ones that are hypocrite Christians, they can't see it. So they have to stand in shame in the end. That's all. Not a big deal. You're not going to burn in hell. I can't put some kind of threat out there to scare you. It's just, you'll see what I'm saying when you're standing there shameful, thinking like, man, Ron was right. He was just trying to help us. That's crazy. Oh well. So once it all finally sinks in and all these events take place and the end of the events happen and the spirit that rises up inside of people because of these events, once it all manifests together, you're going to see how that crossroad was perfect because Christ and his heavenly spirit crossed over to the demonic Luciferian spirit and they met together on the cross. There was one on the left, there was one on the right. There was a good, there was an evil. They both meshed together, and Lucifer understands Christ and Christ understands Lucifer, and they're both working together to turn humanity back to their dad. I don't care what kind of brother you have. If he's the biggest pain in the ass little Luciferian son of a bitch, don't you still love him? And don't you still think that even though he's that way, he loves you too? He'll still do things for you that are necessary when you get him in the right mindset. When you get him like calmed down and you talk to him normally, you can get through to anybody. As angry as you are, there's some things that you've been doing that I've been talking about that you've never done before that makes sense and it works. Whatever it is. A lot of people won't understand what the hell I'm saying. Some people do. If one person does, that's all that matters. One person out of all the views in every video, however many it is, if it's one person, it works because that one person will branch off into other people in their family where they work, and then that branches off. It just keeps growing. Christ did it for them. He didn't have to do it. He wanted to do it because everything that he was seeing back then was making him sick. It vexed his soul day to day for those 42 months. It vexed his soul. He was disgusted. So he did something about it. And then when he did something about it, the world leaders, they knew who he was because they were surveilling him the entire time, ever since he was a baby. They can see it. They're not going to say it. They're not going to say it at all. It's just you either have to see it or you don't. If you don't see it, you continue on in this world like, the way that you've been continuing on. It's on you. If you could see it, then there's rest. The 144,000, there's rest for us. And the rest is the elite, the ones that were in charge, the ones that are going to stand in shame that haven't yet. They open up their doors because we are here to teach them how to have a relationship with our Father and get back to helping each other out instead of being greedy and having all these. You got everything in the world that you need, but you're not sharing it. There's plenty. It's like people die with so much stuff. What good is it? Why are you not sharing with people that need it? Why are we buying and selling from each other anyway? It's all going back. It's just, get in line. If you get in line now, you have a better ride. If you try to get in line at the end, you stand in shame. It's like, sorry kids, we're full. And then you got to sit there and wait for the next roller coaster ride. Get in line now, you get to enjoy the ride. You get the real, it's a roller coaster. If you get on last, imagine like standing still and all of a sudden your mind is like in a roller coaster and you're starting to sway and swirl and your body's like, ugh, and you don't even know what it is. That's how you're going to feel. And then you're going to stand in shame at the end after you throw up from the fear that you see because you can't see it ahead of time. So it's going to hit you like that because you're closed-minded. Anybody who's closed-minded, it's going to hit you hard. If you can't be open to possibilities and listen to other people's interpretations as to how they think the Bible is, or even if they only know the damn Bible, and it's just how they interpret life. If you stop judging everybody for the way that they interpret things in their life, well, then you'll be able to start to open up your mind and actually listen to other people instead of being selfish. I know that I do a lot of talking, right? But after I'm done this phase, I'm going to do a lot of listening because I did all the talking. Next comes listening, like how that worked out. Like, how did that work for you? Because of all the talking that I did, something had to resonate with some people somewhere in the world, right? After it all unfolds, all the truth will be out there. So I'll just say it, how I feel like it's going to be now, and then just see how it is in the future when it does happen. Just know this: it was only by faith alone. I'm sitting here by myself in my truck right outside of work. I don't have any connections in the world. I mean, I do now, but there's no signing. There's nothing. It's like all the connections I have into the underground now is because I've been in the belly of the beast for 3 years, crawling, creeping around, trying to find out, where the people are that are in charge of what's going on above ground, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all the lies and everything. It's sickening. That's going to stop. So for the past 30 something months, I've been in the underground, in your world, searching and looking for who is in charge. And I found you. I found a couple of you. I know it and you know it. And that's how it worked. And it's true. And it'll be proven for those that can see. For those that can't, I don't think it'll ever be proven to you. You just have to go about your life. Whatever. Just be patient. It'll happen.